Former traveling salesman Edward Bloom possesses an incredible gift for storytelling and uses it to share stories from his life, which he loves to embellish. However, his son, pragmatic accountant Will, sees his father as nothing more than a Baron Munchausen-style liar, which severely strains their relationship. Yet, when Edward is suddenly diagnosed with cancer, Will and his pregnant wife Josephine visit Will's parents to be by Edward's side. The film tells the story of Edward's life in his youth, which is so fantastical that it's hard to believe, though all events take place within American settings. In his childhood, Edward encountered a witch whose one eye could show anyone their future death. As he grew up, he met a man named Carl, suffering from gigantism, and they set out on a journey together. This journey leads Edward to the idyllic town of Spectre, where he befriends the renowned poet Norther Winslow and the 8-year-old daughter of the mayor, Jenny. After 2 days, Edward leaves the town that cannot be left, reunites with Carl, and continues his journey. He then notices a beautiful girl and instantly falls in love with her. The director of the local circus, Amos Calloway, later revealed to be a werewolf, hires Carl and Edward, promising to provide a fragment of information about the girl at the end of each month. Edward is forced to do whatever Mr. Calloway asks. Eventually, Edward's patience runs out, and the director is forced to reveal that the girl's name is Sandra Templeton and he provides her address. Edward goes to her, confesses his love, but she's already engaged to his childhood friend Don Price. Nevertheless, Edward persists and continues to show Sandra attention, leading to a physical confrontation with Don. Despite this, Sandra returns Don's engagement ring and chooses to be with Edward. The Korean War begins, and Edward is drafted to serve. During a crucial mission, he unexpectedly meets Siamese twins, singers Ping and Jing. He offers to help them build a career with Mr. Calloway, in exchange for their assistance in escaping home. They agree willingly. After being discharged, Edward becomes a traveling salesman, selling unique devices like a mechanical handstand, one of which Will finds in the present. One day in a bank, he encounters Winslow, who had left Spectre and become a robber. Edward unwillingly becomes his accomplice. However, after the bank robbery, he learns that the vault was empty. It had been robbed not by bandits, but by tax collectors. He explains this to Winslow, who decides to work on Wall Street. All the money is there. Closing parenthesis. Later, as a millionaire, Winslow sends Edward a check for $10,000 as a gesture of gratitude for inspiration. With this money, Edward, Sandra, and Will buy the house they live in today. In the present, Will gradually realizes that his father's tales were not merely fairy tales but rather embellished truths. To confirm this, he visits Spectre and encounters an older Jenny who continues Edward's story after his adventure with Winslow. He visits Spectre himself and faces an incredible flood. After the waters recede, he discovers that the town is on the verge of bankruptcy. With his connections, Edward buys all the houses in town and saves it. Only Jenny's house remains, and she initially refuses to sell it to him. He stays to repair it, and she falls in love with him, though he makes it clear that he will never reciprocate. Edward returns home after this. Listening to Jenny, Will returns home and learns that Edward suffered a stroke and has been taken to the hospital. Will reconciles with his father and even concocts a fictional version of his funeral, where they escape from the hospital, and Edward is turned into a giant catfish and swims away. Upon hearing this story, Edward dies. To Will and Josephine's surprise, all of Edward's friends he talked about attend the funeral. While they don't match his descriptions exactly, for instance, Carl is slightly shorter, and Ping and Jing aren't Siamese twins but regular siblings, Will finally realizes that his father's stories were true. Later, he starts telling these stories to his own son. Did you enjoy the movie? If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more movie summaries. We will do our best to bring you a new summary every day, so stay tuned and don't miss out. Thank you for watching and see you next time.